am Abdul Rahman. I'm a lecturer at a public university in Kenya. I deliver lectures in computing and informatics. In our last lesson, we discussed about the nested if block, and into it we have seen that we can actually define an if statement within another if statement. Today we are going back to get up another concept of switch block selection, and in that particular one we are going to discuss what is the definition, what is the syntax, and how can we implement it. So in that particular note, let's move on and see what is the definition. So let's start with the switch block statement. So the switch block statement, basically it has what you call multiple branch statements. So it has got multiple branch statements. So they've got so many statements which actually they have to branch, and actually they are based on a constant value. So for them to work, actually you have to have a constant value which is taken as an expression. And basically we are told that double values, they are not allowed. So you cannot have more than one constant value. So double values, they are not allowed. So you cannot have a double value. So what we have, if you don't want your branch to continue until the end, you must have a break statement. So a break statement, actually it is used to terminate after you have found out a particular branch. And also the last thing we want to discuss is that it is an option, but you should have a default value. If all the branches they don't execute, then you can have what you call a default value. So that is very important to understand. So let's see in a DFD data flow diagram how this particular logic it is done. So if we start up our program here, so that's a start. Then we have our switch expression here. So here we'll have our switch expression. And then after having up our switch expression, what we'll have it is, we'll have case 1. So our case 1, if it is actually true, then what will happen? When it is true, here we are going to have a statement to be executed. So here we'll have a statement and we'll have a break. So after executing the statement, then we are going to have a particular break. And then we'll move on. We can have our case 2. So if it is false, we are going to move on to case 2. So if it is false, we are going to move up on case 2. If it is true, we are actually executing another statement 2, and then we are having up a break. So after our break, then we are supposed to exit. After a break, then we are supposed actually to exit, and then we'll continue if it is false until you have what you call a case n. So after case n, if it is actually true, we are going to execute statement n, and then we make up a break, and then we exit. Otherwise, if nothing happens, what we'll have, we are going to have our default. So that particular default, basically it will have a statement only without a break. So it will have only a statement without a break and actually exit. So all this will exit, and then we come to an end here. So this is the logic how it is done. So after that particular logic, let's move on and see how can we have actually the syntax of it. So the syntax of it, the word switch is very important. So we are writing up the word switch. And then here inside the bracket we'll have our expression. And then we'll have opening curly brackets. And then we'll have our case. Let's say 1 and then full colon. And then here we'll have up a statement. Then we terminate. And then here we'll have up our break. And then we'll have our case 2. And then we have got our statement. And then we have our break. We'll go up to case n. And then we'll have up our statement. And then our break. And finally we'll have our default. And in the default we are going to have our statement when all these cases are not actually valid. And then finally we have a closing bracket. So basically that is the syntax of a switch statement. However, if we want to implement the same, we'll take up a switch statement to implement a menu using up a switch statement, whereby you'll use as we are seeing up here, we'll create several functions. These particular functions basically will be 4 of them: to add, to subtract, to divide, and to multiply. And then instead of calling them as we are calling up here, we'll call them using up a switch. So we'll have up a menu whereby you can actually tell if you put up 1, actually it's addition. If you put up 2, it is subtraction. If you put up 3, until we finish up there. So this is how we are going to do. And here actually we have actually created 4 functions. A function called add, sub, multiply, and divide. And then down here we have actually done what? We have defined each and every function, and all of them actually they're the same, except whereby we have the result. If it is for addition, we put up an addition sign. If it is for subtraction, we put up a subtraction sign. Multiplication sign. And for division, actually we put up a division sign. So basically that is how we are supposed actually to do it. So now this is the logic which we want actually to implement, and this particular logic we are telling we are initializing a variable called choice, and we are saying enter a choice for mathematical operation. So here basically we are going to have how many choices? We are going to have actually 4 choices to choose. So let's write up our switch statement and see how it will look like. So basically we are going to say switch. What are we switching? We are switching up our choices. And our choices actually they are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are putting up the opening and the closing curly bracket, and onto that here we are putting up our case 1. Here we are putting up our case 1. So our case 1, basically what are we saying? In our case 1 we want to call add. So we are calling up the add. So we are calling up the add because we are inside it, and then we are putting up a break. So we are putting up a break there. So basically that's what we done. So we are going to do case 2, case 3, and case 4 by calling up a particular number and putting up a break. So basically this is how we are going to do it. So we'll just have to copy this particular code and then change it. So that will be the second one, and then we are moving on. That will be the third one, and then we are moving on, and that will be the fourth one, and then we are moving on. So and that is if case 2 Case 2, what are we calling in case 2? We are calling up the function of subtract. So which is called sub. In case 3, what are we calling? If it is case 3, what are we calling? We are calling up a function of multiple. So we are calling up the function of mult. And case 4, we are calling up the function of division, so which we call it dev. So this is how, and each and every one we are actually making up a break. So, and then finally, if or any choices, so this is choice 4, not choice 1. So if any of the choices it is not picked up, somebody picks up another choice, so we are going to say default, and on that particular part for default we are going to say print f, and basically we are going to say invalid choice. So invalid choice. So let's run now a program and see actually what happens if you want to implement a switch statement. So when we run this particular program, we can see actually it runs and then give us the choices. It says enter a choice for 1 arithmetic, 2 subtraction, and 3 multiplication, and 4 division. So let's just enter 2. Let's just enter 3 for multiplication. So they say enter 2 numbers to multiply. So I'll enter 40. That's the first number, and the second number I'll enter 30. And it tells me the product of the two numbers is 1200. So that is how basically it is done. Maybe also we can run it again, take up another choice. So we are running it up again, and this time what choice are we taking? We are taking up choice number 2, that is subtraction. So it tells us enter 2 numbers to subtract. So I enter now 100 as the first number, and the second number I enter 70. And you say the difference actually it is 30. So that is how you can implement this particular one. And now we are coming up to the end of this particular session. However, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.